I love tribe. Welcome to Bitcoin for Peace. This is DJ Valerie B Love, and I have somebody with me who is on a mission to create a circular economy. I'm so excited to introduce Isabella Santos. She's the founder of BTC Isla and co-founder of GetBase TV. Oh my gosh, welcome, Isabella.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be in your podcast.
I know, me too. I'm so glad I got to meet you in Madeira and do the panel with you for the unconference with Me Premier Bitcoin.
I know that was so awesome. That was actually like my first time on stage and my first time being on doing a panel. So it was an honor to do it with all women and all trying to, educate other people.
I know it was really powerful, and I think we all had a lot of different voices and different angles that we were coming to Bitcoin from. I mean, you're obviously stellar in front of the camera, in front of the microphone. Like, how did you start, your Bitcoin journey and doing media and like combining these two things? I want everybody to know who you are and what's your mission out there.
Well, media, I've been in media for years now. So I started out little, funny story was when I was in high school, I always knew I wanted to be a TV host. I used to see Juliana Rancic on, Fashion Police, and I was like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And fast forward to high school, went to a private Catholic school, and my principal was a nun. So she calls me up, and he's like, and it was a small school, so everybody knew each other. We had conversations with the principal all the time, and the principal calls me up, and she's like, "Hey, Isabella, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to do when you graduate?" And I looked at her, and I was like, "I want to be a TV host." And the thing is, I have a very different tone of voice. So she looked at me, she's like, "You can't do that. You have a really funny voice." So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm 16, 17 at the time. My thought was, she's right. I'm not going to be a TV host. So I always put that on the back burner until I went to college and I decided to, study architecture, whatever, because I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a TV host until like 2 years in. I'm like, you know what? I don't care what people say. I'm going to try to be a TV host, whatever. And I start, trying to get internships at, Telemundo. I was in Miami at the time, and I worked in Telemundo since 2018.
Okay.
I worked there, and I graduated in the pandemic. So I thought I was going to get a job automatically in Telemundo. Telemundo is one of the two largest Hispanic TV channels, and one of their headquarters is over in Miami. So I got to work with them for a couple years until the pandemic happened. And then I decided, graduated. I thought I was going to get a job there. I didn't because, nobody was hiring. And I stumbled upon this, one of my friends knew a guy that had a fulfillment hub and they wanted to, explore the idea of creating Ecom Daily News, which was an online newspaper for e-commerce, people that are doing drop shipping or shipping, from China. They all wanted to know what was happening. So I pitched him the idea that I could manage the whole website, that I can, cover all the events. And because of this, it's how I get into Bitcoin, because I'm managing Ecom Daily News, which was an e-commerce newspaper. And my boyfriend tells me, Bitcoin. There's a Bitcoin conference happening in Miami. You need to go cover that since you're covering, the news for e-commerce. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I pitched to them the idea. But at the time, the media passes were around $300. So when I told him, oh, we just have to buy a ticket, it's $300, no biggie. He looks at me, he's like, I'm not going to pay $300. $300 to, for you to cover the event? No. You got to figure out how to go in for free because I'm not putting a dime. And I'm like, Jesus. All right, so what do? I go online and I start thinking, how can I get myself to go? I emailed all the people that were, doing the event and nothing. So I decide to do a coffee stand in front of the event. Because in my mind, I was like, everybody's going to want free coffee. Everybody's going to be lining up to go into the event. That way I interview them get the vibe, bim, boom, bam, and leave. And as I'm, planning this free coffee, this coffee stand that was super cheap to do, I decide to message all the speakers because I realized all these people were coming in and flying from different places. What I didn't know at the time was this was the first Bitcoin conference post pandemic, and they originally used to have them in California. So it was the first one in Miami, it was in Wynwood, and I decided to just DM all the speakers. I would even get blocked from Instagram because I used to use Instagram. That was like my holy grail. But since I would get blocked on Instagram, I would have to DM them on Twitter. And then that's when I realized all these people were on Twitter. They weren't on Instagram. And only two people responded, which was BTC Sessions and Alex Vetsky.
Yay!
Yeah, but BTC Sessions, he was like, yo, I'm too busy. I won't be able to do an interview. Because in my little message, I was like, hey, I'm doing could I do an interview for coffee? This is a startup. If you want to help out, whatever. And Alex goes, I don't like coffee. And I'm like, okay, fine. What about donuts? He's like, I don't eat sugar. So I was like, fine, but can you do me an interview? Like, please, I'm already there. Like, you're going to be here in Miami. I'll go to wherever you are. He's like, no, I'm not going to do the interview. But why don't you come to this meetup in Brickell? You have to download Telegram, Signal, all this stuff. And at the time, I was like, of course, I'm going to go. So I get all my gear, pack it up, and I download Signal, Telegram. I'm a normal person at this time. I did not know these apps existed, that privacy was a huge thing, at all. So I message him and I show up right on time, like 30 minutes before the event to this. It was a ramen noodle place in Brickell. And when I get there, I hear this couple talking about Bitcoin. And I go up to them, I'm like, oh, are you guys here for the meetup? They're like, yeah, come sit. So they sit me down and they explain to me, everything that's happening, how this whole thing works. And they were all here to meet up with Svetsky. Svetsky showed up like 3 hours late. And obviously, I met him, we got talking, whatever. And he's like, you know what? I like you. I'm going to help you go into the conference. And that's how I ended up going to the Bitcoin conference because he took me in as his media person. So I ended up being doing everything that I wanted to do. I did the coffee stand outside. Then I went in, did some interviews, covered the whole thing. And I met Rizzo at that conference. Obviously, you have to admit, it was the best Bitcoin conference to date. Bukele announced he was gonna, make Bitcoin a legal tender. They had bolivars all over the floor. I was like, this is insane. The people I would meet were the smartest people I've ever spoken to. So I was like, something is right. I don't know what it is, but I'll figure it out later. And since I lived there, I would drive Svetsky, Maddox, and Francis everywhere. And they would take me as their +1 to all the after parties. And I'd be like, okay, I was their chauffeur, and they would sneak me in. So I met the craziest people, got orange pilled the best way possible because we would drive around and they would give me all these talks in the car. They're like, listen, the fiat system is this way. I didn't even know what fiat was. So these people are onto something, and they were all so passionate. And after that conference, I decided to sell all my stocks and put everything into Bitcoin. Obviously, I carried on with my life. I was still sort of in Bitcoin. In a way, I ended up getting, a normal fiat job in the TV industry as a TV host for another Spanish TV show called Hola. And 6 months after the conference, I reached out to Rizzo for, somebody wanted to advertise for the magazine. And he's like, no, we don't do ads for those type of people, but I see you're on TV a lot. Would you want to do the YouTube for Bitcoin Magazine? And then the rest is history.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. I love your tenacity and your positivity. And you're just like, well, I'm going to do this instead. I mean, that's such an ethos of of us crazy Bitcoiners, and you're just like, well, I'll figure out a way. Okay, fine. And I think that's just so admirable. What was it? What was your aha moment that aside from the passion and the, okay, the bolivars are on the floor and all this stuff, like what meant, what clicked for you that you understood that like, whoa, this is legit. This is something you need to start spending your time and energy on. It's not just some like hyped up marketing scheme type thing.
Well, for me, mostly it was the freedom. And also, I hate being controlled. And the thing is, like, as a normal person, you realize society puts everything you need, like, there's a law for everything.
Yeah.
Everything, we're being controlled all the time.
Yeah.
And I think being able to break from that, and also one of like the big aha moments was my family is from Peru and we immigrated to the States, for a better future. You don't leave your home country because you want to. You leave because you want to aspire for more because you couldn't make it there. So the thing for me was putting your money somewhere that it doesn't depreciate in value as well. So you
Mhm.
have all these different aspects of Bitcoin that went with who I was as a person at the time. Obviously, I feel like as I've grown up and as I've been part of the industry, those things have gotten more strong. I have got strengthened, have
Mhm.
gotten stronger. But at that time, I remember it was mostly freedom and liberty, being able to, be your, like, be in charge of your own money. Because you have to understand, when you work for someone, you get so much take of your paycheck taken away. And the thing is, like, for what? They take out so much money and you don't even know where it's going. And the
Yeah.
thing is, like, it doesn't even go to your bank account. They take it out before you touch it. So it's being able to work for something and work for your future and not having it left be like for not taken for granted, but you know there's the only thing we never get back in our lives is our time.
Yeah.
So working for something and having it, I used to at the TV channel or La TV, they used to pay me $600 a week. That's nothing. And I was putting in like 8 hours a day, not 8 hours, like 8 or 9 hours, because I would go in at 8, I wouldn't take lunch, and I'd leave at 6. That's like 8, not 10 hours a day.
Mhm.
And the thing for me was I'm working, but the money, I don't even see it. It's devaluing. I'm not even saving. I barely had enough to eat. I barely had enough to survive. So you're working towards this money that doesn't even give you the bare minimum to survive. So it's kind of crazy. And that I feel like that there's so many aspects of Bitcoin once you go into the rabbit hole that you're like, aha, this is it. No, this is it. Because I started in freedom and now I'm going in, with how I used to live at the time, getting $600 a week and being able, like not being able to survive. But the thing is, when I would put stuff in my savings accounts, nothing, like I wouldn't be even saving anything. And then until I decided to start saving in Bitcoin, and then you notice that value, even though I invested in the peak of the market, that value today has more value than it did at the time that I invested.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's more purchasing power, obviously.
More
Like when
purchasing.
we're saving in fiat, it's a melting ice cube, and a lot of people don't get that because they think, "Oh, look, I have 3% in my savings account, or I have even 10% if I'm in a, an index fund or something if I'm lucky." But after you pay taxes and everything, you're not keeping up with inflation. And so what you think is this nest egg that's supposedly growing isn't, and your purchasing power is getting diminished on a daily basis. And so having scarce money, Bitcoin, gives us the opportunity to save in something that will have purchasing power that grows over time instead of diminishes. And I don't think a lot of people get those dots, and we're not taught that in school. We're taught the wrong types of economics in school. And so I think our younger generation is at a huge disadvantage, but we're also at a huge advantage because we have 24/7 access to information. But
Yep. Yeah, I
it
think you
needs,
get information paralysis. There's so
yeah,
much you don't even know how to filter it.
exactly, and that's by design. I think it's by design that we have, a tidal wave of bullshit that's out there and lies, because that way we can stay exhausted and controllable by the powers that be that want us to be little fiat slaves. And so I think it's really important for all of us, whatever, it doesn't matter how old you are, or if you're a female, male, whatever we are, it's very important that we take personal responsibility to understand money. Because if we don't understand money, we're going to be living in a place of psychological disempowerment. We have a place of not being able to provide for ourselves and our family, which makes us feel anxious, could feel depressed, could feel angry. And so we can't ever have a peaceful world if we don't
No.
have peaceful money. And so what's been your biggest aha moments on this journey so far? And then we're going to talk about Peru and motive, and we're going to talk about um, BTC Isla.
The thing, like, it's funny you say that because it's a vicious cycle. I
Hmm.
remember when I was working at Ola, I worked there for like two years, and I would meet these women that are like in their 40s, have two kids, and they're stuck there because
Yeah.
the system makes you rely on this paycheck that comes, every 2 weeks. You get paid bi-weekly, which is enough for you to feed your family, put them in daycare, and you go to work and you do it all over again. So
Yeah.
the thing is, these people can't leave the rat race
Yep.
because they can't bet on something else, because now they rely so much on it that there's no way that they can back out. I remember looking at them and I'm like, you can't be stuck getting paid what you're getting stuck for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And they do this for years and years, and they are comfortable. They give them enough, just enough, so that they're tired, that they can't even think. They're being overworked, getting it. It becomes kind of this rat race, in Rich Dad Poor Dad. What he says, what Robert Kiyosaki says. It's like this rat race that you can't get out of because you're still chasing that next paycheck, and you can't leave because you can't, let your children starve. You
Yeah.
have all these people depending on you. You have to pay rent. You have to feed them. You have to pay daycare. You pay for daycare because you can't take care of them because you have to work just to give plate to the table. And then it's all connected. Then you leave them to these school systems that now the school system is trying to raise your kids, and you don't even have a say in it. So it's pretty nuts what's going on out there right now.
It's totally nuts. I was just interviewing Mercedes Juarez a minute right before I got to interview you here, and we were talking. Have you read Seb Bunny's book? I'm going to keep
Not
plugging him.
yet.
It's so good. Hidden Cost of Money. It's amazing, and he talks a lot of. And we were just talking this too with Mercedes, but the family dynamic is destroyed now, that having the ability to have a mom that can stay home with the kids and work when she wants to, but not feeling like you have to have a double earner income just to be kind of semi middle class, and especially if we're dealing with people who are getting divorced because of money. If they have to go now be a single mom or a single dad, exactly what you just said. Now you're having this system raise your family instead of you. And so it's like a teeter totter. So all of a sudden, instead of the family being the powerful unit, the system is starting to have more influence on us as individuals as we go through life. And so that's very, very scary, because this is not a good system. It doesn't have the
At all.
individual. It doesn't have the family first. It doesn't have um, prosperity first. It has slavery first, literally.
It
I
does.
believe it's perpetuating financial slavery, and people don't, until you start to wake up and you get it, then you're like, oh my God, like you said, you just keep going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And you're like, whoa, this is messed up. This is a lie. Holy cow, I've been bamboozled over here, and it's very, it's disheartening, but it's also, it's exciting to think like, whoa, there actually is a crack of light that we can go toward. And it's an orange light, you know?
But it's super sad.
Yeah.
One of my friends was telling me their sister put their child 2 months after giving birth. So imagine a 2-month baby being put into the daycare system.
Oh
From
god.
that age, you're giving it to somebody else that's a stranger. You
Yeah.
don't know their values. You don't know how they are at home. You don't know how they're going to take care of your kid. You know, people forget that there's psychos out there. There was a case, I can't remember where specifically, but I saw that there was this teacher that would hit the kids in daycare. She was obviously the person was arrested, but she hated kids, and the kids wouldn't have any bruise marks because she would hit them with the foam, like a foam thing, the those foam floaties. So
Mhm.
she would hit them and they wouldn't bruise. But the kids would hate going to school, and the thing, until they decided to put cameras in the classrooms, they realized that the teacher would push the kids, the teacher would like hit them. And the thing is, how would you not know that that's happening to your kid? You know?
Wow. That is so sad, and I think it is so sad to think about that separation that happens from a mother and her child, when they have to do that because of money. Um, do you know who Dr. Gabor Mate is? He's
No.
a wonderful psychologist. He talks about addiction and trauma and whatnot, and he wrote a book called Hold On to Your Kids, and it's about attachment. And, your first 3 to 5 years, you're really creating those attachment bonds with your child. And so if you're not the one who's creating the attachment bonds and you're giving it to daycare or someone else, the child doesn't have a secure sense of attachment. And so they grow up in a sense of anxiety, and that carries forward into how they operate in the world. And so they don't know who to trust and how to be. And so just the simple act of keeping children home with their mothers in those early formative years when the brain is still developing and they're getting that attachment going is so important. And for all of us Bitcoiners who are starting to understand, like, wow, we want to keep that family unit going, more forward intact. I feel like Bitcoin is hopefully going to help with that. It's not an end all be all solution, but I think if we can figure out how to get our economies in such a place that we don't need to have 2 and 3 and 4 jobs just to survive, we're going to have a healthier future because these kids aren't going to be uh, forced to be raised by strangers who, like you said, you don't know. Let's um, let's talk about let's talk about your project. I want you to really start sharing, like, how did you come up with, BTC Isla, and what's going on with it? What's been, like, how did you decide, like, I'm moving here and I'm going to go start a circular economy? And what does that mean for folks?
So BTC Isla
Isla.
we're here. Well, right now I'm here on this island called Isla Mujeres.
Isla
It's off
Mujeres.
the coast of Cancun. So you
Yeah.
fly to Cancun and then you take a ferry to Isla. It's 13, I think 12 kilometers. I thought it was 13, but I realized it's 12 kilometers long
Okay.
and 3 kilometers wide. It's right next to Cozumel. So a lot of people, when they think of Cancun, they're like, "Oh, Cozumel, I know that island." Well, it's right next to it. You can take a ferry. It's very known to tourists. So what happened was, over in December, I went to shoot a documentary in Peru with Julian Figueroa.
Mhm.
So Julian is another Bitcoiner. He DM'd me
Awesome.
last year in June, and he was like, "Hey, Isa, how are you? I saw you're Peruvian. I'm going to shoot a doc in Peru. There's a Bitcoin circular economy there. If you're down, come. Would love for you to, be part of this project." And I've always wanted to give back to my country in a way. And I was like, what's a better way than, documenting about Bitcoin in Peru? So I ended up going with Julian to Peru, and we followed Motive. Motive is this, organization led by two people, Rick and Vale. Vale is the on like in the ground guy that's making all the organization there possible. He's from Romania and he moved to Peru He's not even Peruvian. That's the crazier part. He escaped communism in Romania, moved to Argentina, and by the grace of God, ended up in Peru. So now in Peru, he is in charge of doing Motive. He helps these communities and create circular economy. And what I fell in love with this project was that Bitcoin was just a tool for freedom. It wasn't the main thing. They were teaching people how to be normal human beings, and Bitcoin was just another tool. By what I mean is being normal human beings is that these people, they're so poor that they don't have, the basic understandings on how to survive. These are people that don't know how to read. They don't know Spanish. They speak their own language, Quechua, their own dialect. They are very deep into poverty because of the situation. And what we realized was, well, not realized, what they were explaining to me was that in Peru, I hate to talk about my country in such a bad lighting, but it's the truth. What happens is they're very jealous species. So what happens is if someone's a farmer and they have kids, they want their kids to be farmers too. They're like, if I suffered, you're going to suffer. You're not going to go to school. And we see that, and that cycle continues to repeat. And there's alcohol in the mix. So a lot of the dads in these families are alcoholics. So the mom is the one that has to take care of the kids, bring money. And the mom, when I say bring money, they literally have to give the money to the male supervision from that household. So it's really, really, fucked up, the situation there. And what Motive is doing is creating these communities and building these I don't know how to explain it, but the not homes, but these communities, like literally their houses, and they have English classes for the kids, daycare for the kids, so the mom can go out and find a job, or they teach the moms how to cook or bake, so the mom can then sell that baked good for profit. They teach them how to plant so they can have their own food. They and all this is through Bitcoin. So if the mom wants to be part of this community, that what he tells them, he's like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to sew. You got to pay your teacher in Bitcoin. So they start making the individuals more sovereign and not be so dependent on other people. They're not like other charities, because they're not really a charity. They're an organization. What they're doing is they're helping these people have a better life. They're teaching them how to fish rather than, here, have the food, we'll come again next week. So what they were doing impacted me so much that I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. So when I moved to Isla Mujeres, my original goal was, hey, I want to orange peel the island, that's super cool. But there are very poor areas here as well. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't just want to orange pill everybody and be like, hey, accept Bitcoin here. So I came here and I decided to also start teaching them about Bitcoin with Mi Primer Bitcoin. I applied, I ended up becoming a node. And from then I started having my classes, and then I've been orange pilling, restaurants and hotels and little shops here and there so they can, start building their own circular economy. And my goal is to start creating what Motive did in Peru and bring it here on the island. Obviously, I need help. Right now is just almost a one-person show. But as I'm teaching these classes, I'm already seeing which students are more interested that I can, have them help me bring this vision that I have, sort of like bring Motive to Bitcoin, BTC Isla.
Mhm.
But it's a long journey. Right now, just in the beginning, where my students are in class number 4. Tuesday, we're going to have class number 5. And obviously when you start something, you have this huge vision. You're like, oh, I'm gonna have 20 kids, because I have this group chat with all the people that were interested, and it's about 15 students that they told me that they wanted to come and take the classes. Originally, at first, I thought I was gonna be teaching kids, because I was like, you know what? If we want to make a difference, we have to start with the new generation rather
Yep.
than the old one, since it's really hard to change their way of thinking. But I was
Uh-huh.
completely wrong. I have students from 23 to 47. And right now, what I'm trying to do is have the first graduating class, and then from them select a couple. Maybe I already have like one student that I really do want to keep working with, and maybe hopefully he can come and be part of the team and help me make this possible, because the idea is to use Bitcoin as a tool for freedom, not just here, this is Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin, use Bitcoin, blah blah. No, it's just like that's one of the pillars. Since we were talking about education and we were talking about family, it's like one of the pillars obviously is having financial stability, but also you have family, having a home, and then being able to feed that family, and having your beliefs and being a good contributing person to society. So it's a long journey, but that's sort of my vision of what I plan to do here. And it all happened because of motive.
That's incredible, and I love how you've got this all organized in the phases of how you wanna operate and grow this project. I think it's super important to have a roadmap like this. Um, I think I just saw I don't know if it was yesterday or recently, I think I just saw something that Bitcoin Beach was doing some grant programs for people with circular economies.
No
Have you
way.
seen that? Yeah.
No,
So
I have not.
yeah, let's
I
get a hold of Ramon and Mike and see what's up because you might be able to get a grant, because
That'd be
obviously
awesome.
that's what you're up to. Um, I know it's super powerful, and I think I loved what you said. It's funny, you and Mercedes both said the same thing about teaching people how to fish and not just giving them a fish. And like literally, she just said this example like an hour ago. um, but because she's talking about how important it is to target people who have like something to offer already, or that they want to have a skill development so that they can go be a contributing member of their community, and not just like, here, give me a handout, let me have some Bitcoin. That never works, right? And so it's like, how can we all become, self-sustainable and contributors in our own ways in the world? And so I think that's super important. Um, wow, this is amazing, and you're totally crushing it. I know I've been,
Thank you.
yeah. And what's been your biggest obstacle other than getting funding right now?
Well, my biggest obstacle, honestly, has been recruiting students, because also, so in Mexico, there's big narco. It's a narco country in a way, and they're run by the cartels. So when I first got to the island, I met up with a Bitcoiner through the Orange Pill app, and when I told them my vision, my project, I was super excited. They were like, "Yes, we love that. That's going to be insane for the island, but you need to be careful, because obviously, like, there's narcos on the island, and you don't want to promote that you have Bitcoin, or because the thing is, you have to understand there's a lot of misconceptions about Bitcoin. So when people they don't realize that you can have Bitcoin without having one full Bitcoin, or you don't have to have 30 Bitcoin to
Yeah.
be into Bitcoin. And they were like, you just need to be very careful. They suggested that I should, just stick to word of mouth instead of, opening a Facebook group or stuff like that. So for me, that's been obviously like my biggest obstacle, because obviously I can't put flyers, I can't communicate to the Isleños, the people that live on the island, to come and take one of the classes. It's been mostly word of mouth, and a lot of people through Twitter and the Orange Pill app have seen what I've been doing, and they've been on the island, or they know someone on the island, so they tell someone. And I've had two people show up. One person was from the Orange Pill app, who ended up crossing from Cancun to Isla Mujeres, and he went to the class. He just hopped into the class and was super amazed. He even brought his ledger to show them this is where you store your Bitcoin. Then I had a couple that was from their orange pilled, I mean, not orange pilled, they're Bitcoiners as well. And they came to see the class as well. So it's been very helpful. I've been getting a lot of support from all the Bitcoiners, and it's unreal. My thing is trying to get new students. I'm already worried about how am I going to teach my next, class. Obviously, right now I have around 5 students. Sometimes they miss classes because obviously you can't demand, grown people to a random Tuesday at 4 p.m. leave their stuff, to show up to a class that's around 2 hours long. So I get that, but that would be one of my biggest, setbacks, trying to get more people into the classes. So, yes.
And what are they saying? Like, what are the folks at Meet Premier Bitcoin saying? I mean, that's like you made a huge point. I mean, obviously safety first, and if you're navigating the cartels or anybody that doesn't understand Bitcoin that could possibly hurt you or hurt your students or try to, um, are you obviously teaching Bitcoin 101 is one level, but like if we're thinking in terms of, I always think of like decoy wallets or things where people can have something that there's a backup in
Yeah.
case, God forbid, the $5 wrench attack happens. You know, is that something that you're sharing with your students, or do you think you will share just for for long term safety purposes?
Well, the way that Mi Primer Bitcoin has their program is the first 4 chapters is full on financial, monetary history. So,
Hmm.
how the dollar became the global monetary, money. Then you go into inflation, you go into the Bretton Woods Agreement, you go into, the gold standard, a very understanding of what is money. And recently, this Tuesday, we talked about actual Bitcoin. So on chapter 5, we go in deep into what is a miner, how is Bitcoin, put into circulation, what's the difference between Bitcoin with a capital B, Bitcoin with a, lowercase b, and it's all been gradually building up.
Hmm.
So right now, I've taught them how to buy on exchanges. Obviously, you can buy peer to peer. And one of my things with the, taking Bitcoin on, onto on chain onto layer one, because right now we're using it in Lightning. I send them gift sats for coming to the class, so they
Hmm.
don't have to invest in Bitcoin themselves yet. Obviously, I've taught them how to do it safely, but one of the things that people forget, and I see all the time in my comment sections and stuff, is that people are like, oh, you're teaching them how to KYC Bitcoin, you're teaching them Lightning is not real Bitcoin. And the thing is, obviously, I don't get mad at them because they don't know that
Yeah.
these people don't have that much money. So when you want to, send your funds that are on Lightning to on chain, it's so expensive. To mine Bitcoin, it's so expensive. So the thing is, these people or not win, but they earn around 200 pesos a day. That's in dollars, that's like $17 a day
Wow.
for working, a full 8 hour shift. People make $17 an hour in the States. So this is their salary. If they were to buy Bitcoin on, and put it on chain and withdraw it, it's all their Bitcoin. So it's not worth it for them. So I'm trying to find different alternatives. I'm talking to some, Lightning wallets, maybe if they can lower the fees for them or, figure something out. Because yeah, I know there's like this huge concern with Lightning wallets, not being private and whatever, but they don't care about privacy right now. Some people just really don't care. I get that there's Bitcoiners that are very passionate about their privacy and being, how much they have, everything, they don't even show their face on the internet, and that's okay. But they cannot you know, bombard people that don't care about that or
Yeah.
can't even afford to care about that because it's expensive. It's expensive to buy Bitcoin that's non KYC. It's expensive to put it, to maintain everything anonymous. Not everybody has the money to do it, and that's fine, but they can't keep, well, they can do whatever they want, but the thing is, like, they're attacking these people that are trying to teach others how to use
Yeah.
Bitcoin when that's the solution that they have for the moment. You know, I'd rather them show them, like, what is lightning, this is what's happening, this is what could happen. Yes, your funds could potentially, disappear one day, or Bitcoin is very volatile, like today it's worth, 1,000,000 pesos, and tomorrow it's probably worth 2 million, and then the next day, 500,000 pesos. You don't know. So the way that I'm teaching them is this is the options you have, this is what could happen, this is what I do. And, if you want to use it, perfect, that's fine. Especially with Lightning, what I do is I give them Bitcoin on Coinos because it's super, they don't have fees. And at the same time, they can't sell it or buy it from Coinos. So I think it's like the better option when you don't have fully grasped the concept of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much my, I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent on
No, it's
this,
great.
but
I mean, you're doing such a great job, and I'm so impressed that you are taking this on. I mean, it's not easy to go and move to a different country in a different island and then go start something like you've obviously been a wonderful go-getter in the media world and getting people's, stories out, but then to take on the next level project to really start to integrate and implement, Me Premier Bitcoin, which is the best.
yeah.
I love what they're up to on all these different levels. I mean, you are a rock star, sister.
Uh,
Seriously,
yeah.
like I want everybody to support you and support this project. What do you need right now besides funds? Do you need teachers to come in? Do you need? I mean, I know you
Well,
said you need
teachers would always be
students.
great. Yeah.
You need students, but like, I think it'd be interesting, like get some Bitcoiners down there and have a little hang time on the island with you.
I
And
would love that. So,
yeah,
if any Bitcoiners are watching and they want to come help out, that would be unreal. Because at the same time, I have to travel a lot for work. Because the thing is, this is more like my passion project.
yeah,
I have this thing in life. You have to do something creative that makes you money and something that you're giving back to the community.
love
So this
it.
is like me giving back to the community. Obviously, I don't survive from that. All the funds
No,
that go in go to the students for either whether it's, tools, whether it's paying them for going to class, because I pay them for their time because I know it's not easy. They have better stuff to do. So
yeah,
I want to teach them that when you're, investing in yourself, there, you get rewarded. And obviously, like having instant rewards and having them stay, through the whole class, I know they're going to be learning and paying attention. And that's one of the biggest things. Everything that goes in goes back to them. And if I can have people that want to come and teach them, that would be insane. Because sometimes I have to leave, for work or something, and I can't have a class that week. So if other people want to come and teach, by all means, I have all the, utensils. They just need to show up and, be part of it.
oh my gosh, I'm like, I'll come and
And no
teach.
Spanish. They gotta know Spanish. This isn't Spanish.
Okay, I'm not coming to teach. I don't know Spanish, so I would not be the right teacher. But what an
You should
interesting.
still
What do you
come.
have you thought about having any of the folks from El Salvador and like the graduates who've gone through the program to come up and perhaps do like internship type teaching with you?
I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know. I'm just talking about it. It's a thing that we're
That would
having a
be
conversation with right now. I don't
well,
know.
that would be insane. I'm gonna reach out to them. I was just talking to them on one of their spaces, but I never thought that would have been an option. Is that we're so far away, and I never think, oh, someone can just, leave their stuff and come and teach. If they can, by all means, they're welcome.
I know, wouldn't that be cool though? Because you think about, I mean, I was talking with Adam and John at Me Premier Bitcoin, and we're talking just about like, okay, cool. Now, young people have got the diploma, right? Now, what happens next? And so some people will go back and teach because they want to keep perpetuating the diploma and it's expanding, and so what a cool opportunity, if you could get a grant to get somebody to come from, El
And
Salvador who's done it and then come up and stay for, X period of time and start to teach. Because that's super inspirational for your students, right? Because then they're like,
one,
well, maybe I want to be a teacher next round or something, when I graduate. And so I think the contagion of inspiration is very important, that we keep moving forward and not just la la la, we have hope and peace and love and granola, but here's some action that we can go do in our own communities. And who better to teach a community than other community members, and people who've gone through it. So maybe you guys can chat, talk to Reina or whoever, that would be neat to get somebody up there that, could help participate.
yeah, and it doesn't even have to be for the whole
Yeah.
10-week program. They could literally come for a week, and we can even have like a week program,
Yeah.
back to back filled with Bitcoin. That would be insane, like a Bitcoin crash course, or
Yeah, like an accelerator. You could have like something that's more condensed and information packed, and certainly getting different businesses to come up, or come to your events and start to understand Bitcoin. If you can get it. Yeah, I think. Did you say that you'd have orange pilled some businesses already?
yes, I
How's
have
it
a
going?
couple. It's going good. My thing is, obviously you have to go to the owners first.
Hmm.
That's my thing. Talk to the owners, become friends with them, and try to get them to, just accept Bitcoin. I've been recruiting them to come to my classes, but they don't want to come. So only one of them, the owners of my Akita, they've gone, and they're actually one of my students.
Okay.
So that's been great. They're actually like a hotel and a restaurant, so they accept Bitcoin in both.
Yeah. Cool.
We have a steak house that accepts Bitcoin, but I cannot take the credit for that one because the one of my friends, Bitcoiner friends that I met through the Orange Pill app, he had been going to that place forever and trying to orange pill the owner. So when Julian flew from Canada here, it was like a week full of intense shooting. We ended up going to eat with the Bitcoiner friend and the owner of the restaurant. And that's when we all orange pilled
You're like,
the owner. We're like, we're only gonna pay in Bitcoin, and he even printed out the receipts with Bitcoin in it, with like the Bitcoin equivalent. So that's been super fun.
oh my God, I love it. And I think I saw you had a post today. I think it was you. Did you have like a POS machine or something? Is it an Azteco machine? I don't
Was
know
it
if that
me?
was your post or someone else's post. I forget. So maybe it wasn't your
Yeah,
post.
no, I don't know. I don't think it was me.
No, it wasn't you. Okay,
No,
no, my brain is like I'm
it's
old, so don't
no, it's
worry.
okay.
Ignore old Val's brain. Um, let's talk a little bit about. So we've just got a few minutes left here, and I know you're not going to be able to attend the Virtual Creators Summit, but I would love to hear some, advice for people out there who might be interested in starting their passion project or starting an opportunity. Whether it's education, whether it's media, but just what would you say to people out there who are maybe looking to start to get into the space, whether, writing, podcasting, video, any kind of creator?
Well, one of the things, since it's a creator podcast and a creator conference, it would just be I know when you're just starting out, you feel that there's a lot of competition. You're like, oh, someone's already done this, someone already started this idea. I can't do that. What I have to say to them is there's 8 billion people out there. 8 billion people
Yeah.
ingest things in different ways, whether it's through books, through podcasts, through movies. Like everybody, it's not like even if one person was dedicated to one of the creators, there wouldn't be enough,
Yeah.
so just not to be scared to try something that's already been done, because while you're trying these out, you're going to end up doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway. So if it is a podcast, if it is a book, if it is an article, if it's a show, or if it's TikTok, whatever it is, it's just start. And probably the first time you do it, it's not going to be the best.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
It's going to suck.
It's
It'll
gonna
be the
suck.
worst. Yeah. The
Get
good thing is,
get comfortable with the suck.
yeah, get comfortable with the suck, because you can't make your 100th episode without having your first one. And the good thing is, it's all going to get better from there.
It does, and that's such great advice. Like, yeah, do you know Camilla Campton? She works
Yes.
this one. She pushed me too. Like, I always give her credit because she's such a sweetheart. And I was just like, and this was a couple years ago. She was just like, Val, just start the podcast. And I'm like, well, but I'm not an expert, and I'm not like,
Yeah.
I don't know cryptography. And she's just like, just start, like, start where you're at. It's gonna, you're gonna learn as you go. It's gonna keep getting better. And I think I struggled, certainly, and maybe a lot of people relate, is with imposter syndrome, and
Yeah.
thinking like, well, who am I to go do this thing? And it's just like you said, right? It's like, I'm obviously this weird pink person and have all these things that I'm not, uh, and Andrea Santonopoulos, like, I have a different way of I'm going to present. And everybody's audience, is going to resonate differently with them. And I think that's such an important thing. And it's just like, yeah, it's all, I mean, I still feel like I suck and I have a lot of work to do to improve.
No.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, cause like I think
Yeah.
all of
There's
us
always room
creators,
for improvement.
yeah, we think like this is the vision of how I want the experience, the product, the final expression to be. And then it's like, yeah, I kind of met some targets here, but maybe not here. And you're always changing the dials and the knobs of how you're putting yourself out there and expressing. And it's it's courageous to be a creator. I think a lot of people don't understand. I mean, when you hit record or go live or anything, it's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I'm bearing my soul to the world and you guys are going to judge me. But then it's like, when you focus, like you said, on your mission, on your purpose, and you find something that is like giving back, who cares? Like, go do that. It's not about everything has to look perfect or be perfect. It's about really like serving the message, serving your mission, with love and care. So I love that advice.
Yeah, no, that's honestly the best. And what you said is so true. People are gonna criticize whether you do it or not.
Yeah.
So might as well, start doing it. What I say is, even though they're commenting and whatever, they're giving your post more views. And that's what it all comes down to. If you can, preach your message to as many people as possible, you're doing something right. And I feel like the end goal for all of us should be to leave the world better than we found it. And if
Yep.
you're a Bitcoiner, I know for a fact we all believe that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we each have a little something to give to this world, whether we're creators, whether we're programmers, whether we're business people, whether, we're networkers or event people, everybody's got something to contribute to this giant tapestry, this masterpiece, I call it, called life, right? And, who the heck wants to see the same thing repeated for your whole
yeah,
masterpiece? No, I want to see colors and different textures and things. And so that's where honoring our individual nature out there, I think, is really empowering and important. And I see you doing that and shining your light and your enthusiasm and just like, okay, let's go. Come on, Svetsky, let's get
yeah.
donuts. Like, I love that story. I'm
That
a
no, those were for some fun times. No,
Oh
he's
my
the best.
God.
So,
But it's really cool though, and like Natalie talks about her first story going to the Bitcoin conference and she's just like, oh, I'm going to stand by the bathroom, by the men's bathroom and talk and hand out my cards and stuff because she was still new and didn't know a whole bunch. And she's just like, screw it. I'm going to go where all these people are and they're stuck here in line. Like, here you go, guys. And
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
totally. And so it's like everybody starts out somewhere, and we all start out like, oh, okay, how's this going to go? So this is super powerful. Any final words on for anybody listening who's new to Bitcoin or maybe wants to start, supporting you? Obviously, I want them to go to geyser.fund/project/BTC Isla to donate some sats to your project.
Also, well, if they have YouTube, I also started Get Based with Julian and Adam O'Brien.
Okay.
And we're trying to, put more based content out there. We were tired of, hearing the sponsors tell us, no, we don't want to invest in this project or that project. This is too risky. So we were like, fuck it. Let's do what we want to do and fund it ourselves. So Get Based is this new content company that we started where we're literally like doing what we want to do for in content. That's the show called The Wrong Think. That's one of my shows. We also have Future Proof with Adam every Thursday.
Oh,
Wrong Think
cool.
is every other Wednesday. And we also have these crazy documentaries that we post once a month. And next week, May 15th, we're releasing the Peru doc, the documentary
Awesome.
that honestly changed my life and made Bitcoin BTC's love possible.
Oh my God, I love it. You're busy as heck, sister. Oh my gosh. Um,
We got
but
to keep busy.
you keep busy and you're young, you can handle it. You got all that energy, so use it for good, Batman. I think it's great. And I love that you partner with Julian. I haven't gotten to meet Adam yet, but I've got to meet Julian in El Salvador last year. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's amazing.
No,
So
he's a genius. He's like
yeah,
the creative mastermind. It's insane the ideas he gets.
he's so
We're a
good.
good mix because
Good.
Adam makes us more realistic. You have me and Julian that are like, oh, let's do these crazy things. And then Adam's like, no, we cannot do that. We got to be realistic. We got to, focus on one thing. So we balance each other out in a way. Sometimes I'm like the ref between these two Canadians because Canadians can be pretty crazy.
Oh my God,
There's
I
no
love it.
coincidence. It starts with the C. Canadians and crazy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, God bless Canada, man. They're going through some crazy shit up
Yeah.
there too now. I'm just like, what
Did you see
about
that now the hate crime is online even
oh,
before the law was a thing? I was like,
it's just I mean, I, I remember before COVID, it was just like, oh, if the shit hits a fan, we're all going to Canada, I'm like,
no,
I will
no.
never step foot in that country ever again in my whole life. That place is a nightmare. Um, sorry, but it's going downhill super fast and turning into China. I mean,
Well,
yuck. No
that's
thanks.
what power does. Power
Yeah.
gets to your head.
Well, it's just I always think of like, we don't have to go too political and I know I got to wrap up here, but like, do you know who Whitney Webb is?
Yes, I love her stuff.
Dude, oh my gosh, that woman is like
She's
holy
amazing.
encyclopedia genius, like a million
Yeah,
connections, and I'm like,
she's the best.
what? But I've always thought this even prior to being a Bitcoiner and prior to learning about her and John Perkins' Confessions of an Economic Hitman is like the cancerous tumors and malignancy that's out there with the people who are blackmailed, who are in positions of power, and I think about like, wow, uh whether it's old school mafia stuff, it's just like who's really got the strings of the puppets. And I think there's so much going on that we have no clue about still. And even, the bravery that obviously Julian Assange uh, had with WikiLeaks and who's now suffering greatly for telling the truth. And same with Whitney. Uh, it's just like we have to keep revealing the truth layer by layer by layer so that we can build a better system that doesn't duplicate the old. And what you said before we hit record, when I asked you, I was like, is anything off limits to talk about? And you're like, I'm an open book, and I think it's important for all of us to feel like safe telling the truth. And
But
it's
that's the thing. It's not safe to tell the truth though nowadays. It's super scary, especially so in the my project with Wrong Thing, I get phone calls from my parents all the time saying that they're scared that I'm talking about these truths from the system because there's a tendency of whistleblowers being killed because they revealed too much information,
Yep.
or you know, anything. I've been shadow banned from TikTok with the scariest things for, speaking about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So speaking a true your like the actual truth, it's
Yep.
scary because
Yep.
they try to shut you down. And the thing is, like, if you don't even care about your life, that's fine. But the scary part is they try to get people that you love the most around you. So
Exactly.
that's what's fucked up. That it's
Yep.
not even that you're putting your own life to danger. You're putting all those who you love in danger too by revealing these truths. So it's scary. But the thing is, like, if we want a better future, those are the people that need to leave, not the truth tellers.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And it sucks because it's like these people are manipulated into creating legislation and laws that, continue to erode our freedoms, that continue to, silence truth, and they're being manipulated too. So it's just it's very scary, and I do think that, the blackmail of your loved ones, it's like who's going to say, "Oh, I'm going to keep going forward," if somebody's threatening your child?
Yeah.
You're not.
That
You're
you
gonna
can't,
go and you're gonna comply, and that's scary, and so I have a lot of respect for people who are anonymous out there, who are trying to tell the truth in a way that is keeping them safe and keeping their family safe. But then all of us who are out here putting our faces forward and our names, it's like it's a dance, it's a balance, it's not just like, screw you, I'm gonna go do, very
not
easily. Mm-mm,
like
you
you have
know,
Snowden hiding in Russia.
yeah,
Not
it's
even in
just,
Russia. I don't even know where this man is. You know what
who
I?
knows where that dude is.
Who knows? But it's like these things that you have people fearing for their lives for
Yeah,
just revealing the truth. That's what I don't get. Like, how is honestly Julian Assange being prosecuted in America when he's not even American, like for releasing something that happened?
yeah,
Like, to me, it blows my mind. If it was, I don't, even if it was fake, you cannot, you know, put this man to prison for the rest of his life for something that was should have been public knowledge from the get-go,
yep,
you know?
and it again, it's that, like, okay, we're gonna intimidate and threaten and really punish these people and set an example, like, just like they did with Ross, and so it's just, it is very, and obviously we're seeing what's been going on in the last week and a half with, with Samurai and all the crackdowns of privacy. um, it, I think we're very early, and we have
Yeah.
to stay strong in our own inner power, which is, not always easy when a bunch of shit's going on around us, but like, this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, with this war that we are in with the powers that be, that don't want us to be free, and
Yeah.
they don't want the truth to be out there. So we have to be smarter than they are somehow. I don't really have the answer. I wish I did. But, it's just don't give up, right?
Yeah, even if you're scared, keep going forward. Eventually, what I do think, our lives are sort of planned for each other, for all of us. And, if your time's up, your time's up, They now we have these people that think they're God and that they can control how much time you have left on this planet. But hopefully, they don't scare too many people that are, like the whistleblowers,
Yeah.
especially this whole thing that's going on with Boeing
Oh
and how
my God. I know.
people they're killing just for speaking up
Yeah.
when it's an industry that affects everyone, not
Yeah.
only America.
Yeah. It's insane. And again, I'd be curious how that's all getting dug. I mean, obviously, Boeing is part of the military industrial complex. They're not just here, I'm doing commercial airlines. So I think there's a lot more to be told there. And it's, we still, as a world, as a human race, we need to uplevel our consciousness, not just having these tools. Just because we have Bitcoin, it doesn't mean everyone's all of a sudden going to be filled with
Yeah.
love and peace and we're going to care about each other. No,
Yeah.
there's still greed. There's still that manipulation that's going on, unfortunately, that's driving a lot of the narrative and driving a lot of the way things are run in this system. So I know we can go on and talk about conspiracy,
Yeah.
but it's not conspiracy. This stuff's true. That's this. This is just reality. But okay, you are the bomb, diggity doo dah, and I'm so excited for your projects. And
Thank
I
you.
want to keep supporting you with Get Based TV and with BTC Isla. So I want everybody listening to please go support Isabella and follow her on Twitter uh, at Isabella. Hold on.
Yes.
SG3. SG3. Make sure you go follow her and say hello and donate some sats. So I love you, sister. I can't wait to see you. Maybe I'll get my butt down there. I won't be able to teach, but maybe I can,
Ah,
help.
that would be awesome. You should come for a weekend.
I would
Yes.
love to.
You trust me, it's a paradise. It's worth it.
All right, good. One day I'll get my butt down there. Are you going to be in Nashville?
Yes,
Cool.
in Nashville.
Cool.
Nashville, Prague, and Montreal. So,
Woohoo! Go, girl.
woohoo.
That's going to be awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Isabella, for tuning in and being a wonderful guest. And thanks everybody who's been listening. And I hope you guys have a super awesome day. And we will talk with y'all soon. Oh, and hey, it's Mother's Day on Sunday here in the
Yeah.
States. So we're going to have, I'm going to be hosting a spaces for mothers and kids and families on Saturday, just a little kind of Mother's Day thing to just talk about Bitcoin and motherhood and families and being, just how do we grow a better world. And yeah,
Well,
so that's
keep
going to be fun.
killing it, girl. You're doing amazing. You
We are
are
doing amazing. Go team.
doing a lot of peace in this space, which needs that needs it.
I hope so. I hope it's working a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, sister. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. And thanks,
Thank you.
Isabella. And I'll talk with you guys all soon. Peace, love.